Hi everybody, Alex Goff here, and this video is brought to you by our sponsors, Irish Rugby Tours, who can put together exactly the right tour that you want to go to Ireland, places in Europe, Southern Hemisphere, wherever you need to go. They will match you up with great experiences and a team bonding experience and coaching, and also really competitive games. So check out irishrugbytours.com. Also brought to you by our supporters, our Patreon patrons and our anonymous patrons who give money to Goff Rugby Report just to make sure that we can do stuff like these videos that go out everywhere, and we're really appreciative of that. Also brought to you by the US Rugby Foundation that supports grassroots rugby throughout the country. And you always talk about the things, you know what we need to do? We need to get seed money for our new high school program. US Rugby Foundation does all of that stuff, so donate to them. It really does help the game. And by Next Phase Rugby, which connects young high school rugby players with collegiate programs so they can find the right place for them to go to college and play some rugby. All right, so we are talking about the MLR draft, and really I don't think I've made a secret of the fact I'm not actually a massive fan of the draft. I mean, and that's a little bit simplistic to say that. The draft organizes how they get college players into Major League Rugby, and there's not a free-for-all. That's a good thing. But I would say that for the vast majority of the players that we're talking about, they're probably better off getting through the draft and not being drafted. There's certainly a prestige feeling to being drafted high, but if you're not drafted at all, then you get to choose the team that you can go to. So it actually turns out to be a little bit better rather than being told, hey, you're moving across the country for a contract that, let's face it, doesn't pay a lot of money, especially, and we've got a lot of teams based in relatively expensive cities. So yeah, it can be difficult. So the draft, understand it, but really, in a way, you're kind of hoping that you go through those 3 rounds and then you get to pick and choose. Back to Lindenwood. Sorry, just keep seeing players that in this draft that know what they're about out of Lindenwood, and Evan Conlon really understands what he needs to do and can pass, and he's a consistent passer, and that's the number one thing. Number 2, he's fit, and number 3, he'll make a tackle. Matthew de Villiers out of Davenport, he can actually play a lot of different positions, and kicking, really excellent on the kicking, so keep an eye on him. And in all of these scrum halves, you look for a little bit extra, and I've been talking about passing, that's for sure. I expect everybody to be able to pass. Ethan Russell out of Penn State, one of the things that really sets him apart actually is defense. Excellent tackler. He's from New York State, but he played 2 years in Australia at Sydney University. Not exactly a low-level university in rugby terms or any terms really. So an excellent place for him to learn his trade. So I think that would be an interesting pickup as well at scrum half, because you've got somebody who's already broadened his horizons in rugby terms. Nick D'Angelo out of Westchester, versatile player, good playmaker, understands space, can play a little fly half, yeah, okay, can kick the ball as well. How he handles just the much bigger, more physical world of professional rugby, we'll see. But I think he's got a lot of the boxes ticked. Sebastiano Villani out of St. Bonaventure, a New York State product, and he was one player who really showed well at the MLR All-Star game. The name, what was it, the Peaks and Valleys game? I keep forgetting the name of that. Anyway, he played really well there. He can run, and good passing and everything. And he's also got a little bit of open field unpredictability that would be good for some teams. But as I said in my video about what to put on your video, I saw a lot of videos of scrum halves not showing them passing. So I'm going to just sort of demur on a few of them. A lot of these players, a lot of these scrum halves are small, physically powerful, not afraid to mix it up physically, and can run. The key thing is, can they pass phase after phase after phase consistently and well? All right, so a bit of an addendum here I'm going to sneak in, because after I recorded most of the stuff I talked about with the draft players, a later group of last-minute declarees showed up on the list. I waited a few days to make sure that didn't happen anyway. Scrum half, fly half is actually, and I'm going to record this for both. Scrum half and fly half actually is the one position, I just recorded video and I'm replacing it, where there's some interesting late declares. So Ben Carroll from James Madison University, good player, good background. His brother already plays in MLR. He's a scrum half, and I think he's sort of like a specialist scrum half. Nico Spino declares as a scrum half from Auburn. Played a lot of fly half for Auburn. Shifty guy, good skills, good distribution skills. Probably needs to pass a little bit more. So, he and I were joking about that. But he's declaring himself really as a guy who can do both, which is a good way to get on the field, because then you're wearing that number 22 jersey, that number 21 jersey, maybe, and you say, hey, look, I can do 9 and 10. I can probably do fullback in a stretch. Gabe Casey from University of Victoria, certainly somebody who to keep an eye out on fly half. 6'3", big guy, athlete, Canada U20s, so kind of an exciting prospect there. And yeah, he could, I don't know about scrum half, he's a big boy. 14, 11, 15, yeah, maybe. Okay. Milan Van Wyk, now, like everybody's favorite player, short, stocky guy, powerfully built, like your classic scrum half body, and he played a lot of fly half for New Mexico Tech, and also for the All-Star Series that NCR had, and yeah, he's a guy who really can be a first receiver, but everyone's going to look at him and say scrum half. He'd be a running scrum half, but somebody who has a ton of skills, could play fullback as well. Here on the fly half, because I've got my laptop giving me little cues here, and I'm going to talk about all of them. I'm going to talk about all of them really fast, because I'm kind of having a hard time saying I can't talk about just like two. So real quick, Matthias Carmody from Thomas More, great player. Again, how do you get up from the speed of the game just changes dramatically from Division II college on the way up to the pros. Carmody out of Argentina, perhaps he's got a little bit more rugby nous to handle that. I think he does. I think he's actually going to do just fine. Lewis Hollidge out of Central Washington, kind of the same thing in that he's grown up with the game. He can handle pressure. He can execute skills under pressure. So I think he's a nice player to look at for sure. Third one, Shane Barry. Fantastic player. Really exciting playmaker. He's not physically very big, and sometimes you wonder about that. Can he handle a hit? Well, I think he can take a hit. I think he can dish one out as well. It'd be interesting. Some people might look to move him back to scrum half or something like that. We'll see. A really good option, especially if he hasn't been drafted. I would snap him up real quick. Mike Weir. Well, you know, a lot of people talk about Mike Weir's probably been up and down the best fly half in the country at times at any time in the last like 10 years for his age, for his group, and he pulls the strings so beautifully well. He kicks extremely well. He's not afraid to make a tackle. He's not a big guy. He's not afraid to make a tackle. Can drop a goal as well. Kicking for goal, fantastic. It'll be interesting though. Interesting to see how he gets there, because one of my big problems with Major League Rugby is, how does an American fly half break in? How do they get time? And honestly, if I'm running a Major League Rugby team, well, I would probably honestly finish last for a few years, but I'd be willing to do it if I get as many Americans on the field as possible. And I would take someone like Mike Weir and say, Mike, position is yours, make it yours. Chandler Owens out of the University of Kansas. He's also been really a talented American fly half since his high school days at the Kansas City Junior Blues. I really like him, actually, and I think that he probably should spend a couple of years in the academy system and work his way in. And one of the things about playing fly half in the MLR, being a young American fly half, is how do you get on the field? And it's been really tough. And having a variety of skills really helps. Being good in defense is hugely important, I think. But getting points can really be a way for you to get yourself some playing time. So you look at these fly halves and you look at Owens, Coyle, Tidwell, Fleck, where they're all very, very good goal kickers. They can get points for their team. That's going to be an asset. These are all good, really good fly halves. And I think the shame is that we're not confident that any Major League Rugby team is going to give some time to any of them. And I would challenge them to do that. Sam Wiga, Trinity Western from British Columbia. A powerful, huge guy, actually, and really very difficult to contain. So a really good attacking option, definitely a 12. Nate Curtis, another player out of Division 2. Can he make the jump? I thought in that All-Star game he did just fine. He's not the biggest guy, but he's low to the ground, powerfully built. We talked about that desire issue in some of the earlier videos. If you have the desire, that can get you over the top. I think he does. Masvita Nyamarebu, Zimbabwean, playing at Arkansas State. He's actually a very versatile guy. Can pass, can run, can defend. It was really good to see all the things he does to actually put his teammates into space. So he understands that space, and I think, talk about desire, I think he's got that as well. Seth Purdy out of Cal, Canadian guy. Very smart player. Could go in at 10. You know, your 10 falls down. He could easily slide in there. He could slide out to 13. He could play wing. He could play fullback. He could pretty much do it all. He's a very good understanding of the game and good passer, good defender. And finally, Joseph Johnson. You know I like Joseph. Bowling Green University. Very exciting player. Quick, elusive, great attacker. Exciting to see him on the field. And, you know, when something... He's got a little space, right? And you're waiting for something just special to happen in a game. He'd be the sort of guy to bring it. So I'm not sure he's going to get drafted, but that would definitely be somebody that I would be keeping an eye on and hoping he doesn't get drafted so I could sign him afterward. And just add on to this, two guys who kind of blew away the combine scores on speed and explosiveness. Miles Takeko from Boston University. He's the one in red. And then Owen McGuffin from Iowa State. A little bit off the beaten path, but both of these guys showed great athleticism. Okay, yeah, we're lumping the wings and the fullbacks together. There are actually a lot of them. Hold on, let me check on this. It's like, yeah, it's close to 20 wings and fullbacks up for the draft. Now, I know, I hear you. I do. The first draft, they drafted an outside center. And number one. Last year, they drafted a wing, number one. And you know I don't think somebody should do that. And I think it's very difficult when you have teams that have 8 forwards, and then you have a bench of 8 where you're putting minimum 5 of those be forwards. So on a game day 23, you have 13 forwards and 10 backs. You're telling me that we should draft a wing? We can find wings, right? Especially MLR. Yes, speed is great. Speed's fantastic. Elusiveness, awesome. But in a lot of MLR games, there's not a lot of space. Having said all that, kicking is back in the game. A lot more kicking. So you got somebody who can run and can kick and can tackle in the open field. Those people are useful. Sam Williams out of Adrian College, another Division II guy, but I really liked him. I thought that pretty much everything that he handled quite well. And he's got a lot of pace, and he understands running and working off the ball, which is very important for an outside back when they think if they don't have the ball, they don't have to do anything. Clement Quaco out of, yes, that's right, Linton Woods. Yeah, another guy who is just dangerous whenever he has the ball. So, exciting player. Mark Sapper out of UCLA, and I have to say that I didn't really think about him as a candidate, even somebody to talk about here, until I had to look back at his video, and he actually gets a lot of work done. He can run, he can tackle, he can pass, he can read the game, chase the kicks, things like that. So yeah, very good player who I think has the desire as well. Interesting. Devin Rivette out of Arizona State, another exciting, just sort of blow you away player. That was from the All-Star game, the MLR All-Star game that we saw for the collegiates, and the Collegiate Shield. That's what it's called. I keep forgetting Collegiate Shield. Anyway, he scored. He just twice at least he ripped the ball just right out of someone's hands and just took off down the field. So it's just a nice thing to have. And boy, he's got some pace. At wing, Jeff Matuku is bodily looks to be a lot different than his brother Mark, but scrappy, shifty player at wing, but a lot of desire, and really was the spark plug for Notre Dame College's a really good 7 spring. So somebody else you might want to examine a little bit. I think he would be a really good pickup, probably as an undrafted free agent. And finally, another guy with a nose for the try line, Joshua Jacobson, Fresno State. Okay, yeah, Division I AA, right? How's he going to make the jump? He's actually a big guy, and that helps, right? Big, powerful. You look at some of the wings that are making a splash internationally. You see that they're now starting to get size. Yeah, you get your Shane Williams guys as well, and that's fine. But if we're doing a lot of kicking, they've got to be able to get there and get up in the air. Have that long reach, things like that, and also hit hard and deal with the fact that there's still traffic in between the touch line and the 5-meter dotted line. So I think Jacobson actually would be a really interesting signing because I think he can bring all of that out of Fresno State. And they're like, wait, they drafted someone from Fresno State? Yes, they did.